Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the first episode of Hollywood After Dark in 2025. Today we're going to be talking about 28 years later, Cillian Murphy not in it, apparently. I don't know, that's what they're saying to me at least. We're going to be talking about Sony losing one of probably its most feckless executives. We're going to be talking about Welcome to Derry, seasons 1, 2, and 3. A lot more going on today. It's Hollywood After Dark. I mean, well, Hollywood's on fire. We'll talk about that too. But let's get going, folks. Welcome back to the show. I love you. Let's roll. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back, Hollywood After Dark. I know what you're thinking, Matt, God damn it, not again. You're getting my hopes up, not again. You're doing this again, not again. God, I hate you so much. I had a coming to Jesus moment last night. I just want to be honest about this in the beginning of this, right? I was, I've been trying to fight this battle internally about like where I want to go. You know, it's a midlife crisis thing. I'll fully admit. Okay. I'll fully admit that. And I keep thinking back, like movies are always where I go, always what I go back to. It always makes me feel better. And so last night I was bored, did a live stream. My friend Chris, the bipolar Gen X Jedi, came on, and the conversation just turned to movies. And we just had a great time for like 3 hours talking about movies, showing trailers, having a good old time. And I went to bed happy. And I woke up feeling happy. And I kept thinking about it. I'm like, man, God damn it. Like, I love fucking movies. I got to just get out of my own way. I want to watch more, talk about more, do more this year, work on my own stories. And trying to fight this political battle, I can't do it all the time. It drags on me in ways that are harmful and detrimental to my own mental health. But talking about this kind of stuff is good. Even if I had some issues of 2023, there's a lot going on in 2023 that kind of added to that. It was, the stress from the strikes, the stress from, my lack of income that was coming in from doing food delivery. Then, of course, I started working my job, and I'm working this, 40, 50 hours a week at my job, and it becomes difficult. But I'm thinking to myself, like, I can still make things work. I just have to be more prepared for it and think ahead a little bit more. And that's ultimately what I'm working on. So we are going to be seeing a return of Hollywood After Dark. We are going to be seeing a return of Podio Commentary. Dropped a new episode yesterday talking about Sleepy Hollow. That was a lot of fun to record. Really looking forward to doing more of those. But there's always a great deal of movie news to talk about. Today, there's quite a bit, actually. I want to talk first off about this story coming out of comicbookmovie.com. This came out the other day. Sony executive who oversaw Marvel movies like Madam Web and Morbius is leaving the studio. And I don't see this as a bad thing. So this guy, his name is Palak Patel, who served as executive vice president of production at Sony Pictures Entertainment since 2015, has left the studio to join Prime Focus Studios as its chief content officer. Now, I don't know who Prime Focus Studios is, but I'm at this point, like the thing with Hollywood is you fail upwards, right? You absolutely fail upwards when it comes to Hollywood. It's so weird how that works. Now, Patel here played a pivotal role in the production of several Sony Marvel films, including the Venom trilogy, Morbius, Madam Web, and Kraven the Hunter. And that is not a good track record to leave Fox on, right? Tony Vinciquerra, the former CEO of Sony Pictures, he's on his way out the door and he's out there saying like, oh, it's the critics, which I agreed with him, quite frankly, on that one, because he's not wrong. Critics have been unfair to these movies. They're not great. They're not Marvel Cinematic Universe films, but they're also like, they're serviceable. If they would have been made 20 years ago, they're serviceable. Okay, not every movie needs to knock your socks off. They just have to be entertaining to not feel like you wasted your time. And I don't feel like I've ever wasted my time with any of the Sony movies, but I never felt the urge to go back multiple times, with the exception of the first Venom. I actually quite really enjoyed that. I still need to see Venom: The Last Dance. I hear it's pretty fun, but still not an exceptionally well-made movie. But then again, the Venom films were commercial successes, and even though they did receive, mixed critical responses, they did okay. They did okay at the box office, but Madam Web tanked. Kraven the Hunter tanked. Morbius, I had this weird meme magic that kept it alive, kept it going. I don't quite know how in God's name that like happened, but it did. And you know what? We're all kind of better for it, to be fair. We're all kind of better for it, to be honest with you. That is my that's my take on it, so to speak. Because I feel like in many ways, what we're looking at is just like these movies are kind of part of an ecosystem, right? They're part of they're part of an evolving process with storytelling, with an evolving process with movie making, where you've got like the idea there is like, well, these movies make money, right? The comic book movies make money. They'll always maybe find a way to make money, yada, yada, yada. So you got all of that stuff. And then you got all these companies that are like, well, we have all these rights to these characters, but they're not directly tied into the main thing that's going to make the most amount of money. And so they keep trying to like, dance around it and find their own ways in, rather than just like taking the plunge, taking the hit and doing it themselves. Like just talk to Marvel and be like, what do you need to make this work? We will make this work because we all make money. But what we have to remember is that these studios, like every single business out there, is all about trying to make money for their shareholders. That's their only obligation, is to make money for their damn ass shareholders. That's it. That's all it is. So, they think that this is what's going to make them the most amount of money, and it doesn't. And then they end up failing upward. And that's kind of what's happening here with Palak Patel. So I wish him well at his new venture. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. I just don't think it's going to be anything spectacular. Now, moving on to something that got a little bit of a controversy from our pal John Francis Campia. There was the report about Wicked going digital, went digital at the end of the year, and he's saying that the box office dropped on that one. Well, yeah, Wicked movie makes record-breaking $70 million in its digital release, $26 million alone on the very first day of digital release. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money that they don't have to share with the theaters. I've pointed this out multiple times, especially when it comes to Universal. They are in this for the VOD game. They understand the assignment, and it's worked out well for them. They've been able to make a ton of money, over $1 billion in the last nearly 5 years, by putting their movies in theaters, having it be in there for a couple weeks, making that initial money, and then dropping the movies on VOD. After that, they still have them in theaters so they can kind of double dip. And quite frankly, I've already said this before to people. I wasn't going to go see Wicked in theaters. I just wasn't. I didn't know what I was going to get. I didn't know if people were going to sing along and like ruin the first time experience for me. And then, of course, I see the movie. I love the movie. And I wish I could find a copy of the movie that didn't have any of the music, because I feel the music doesn't add to it at all, really. It really doesn't. The movie is essentially like a little bit of Harry Potter, a little bit of Wednesday, and then thrown in a musical that, I mean, I understand the stage play has that, and fine, whatever. Both women can sing very, very, very well. But I just wasn't looking at it as being anything of like massive value. I just kind of felt it like dragged on a little bit too long. But anyway, here's what we know. Universal Pictures adaptation of Wicked has shattered digital release records. Like I said, they generated $70 million since its release on December 31st, 2024. The movie made $26 million on its first day, surpassing Super Mario Brothers as Universal's most successful digital release to date. Mario. It beat out fucking Mario. So go fucking figure on that one. Now, the digital platform availability complements its stellar theatrical performance, where it did gross $453 million domestically. And it says here $686 million worldwide total during a 40-day exclusive theatrical run. So, it did most of its money domestically. It did most of its money in a way that people out there were like, going to go see. And then now it's made more money that doesn't have to be split amongst the theaters, where Universal gets more of that cash, and then they get to, again, pay their damn shareholders. Now, but Wicked in and of itself continues to break records. It has become the highest grossing Broadway adaptation in film history and ranking as the 29th highest grossing U.S. film of all time. Fans who still want to go see it can go see it in theaters. They have now sing-along screenings, which is a great way to get people to theaters, I'll fully admit. Again, I would avoid that like it is the Black Death, but that's just me. And they are going to be releasing the sequel, Wicked for Good, which is going to be coming out November 21st, 2025. And that is definitely going to make a lot of money. It's going to make a lot of money because people who avoided seeing Wicked in theaters are going to probably see it on home video. They're going to be sharing it around with their friends, theater kids. A lot of theater kids are going to run out to go see it. And I think Wicked for Good is going to end up surpassing Wicked, what it's made. Now, granted, it's rolling up on that Avatar, but those are two entirely different audiences. You know what I'm saying? Either way, I'm really happy for the Wicked team. Like, I really, really liked the movie. Like, I was enjoying it start to finish. Like I said, the music was the only thing that got in the way. But other than that, I thought it was pretty dang fantastic and a really, really, really enjoyable, and love the cast. Absolutely love the cast. Still laugh at the fact that the Munchkin in the movie is the guy that Ariana Grande helped destroy his marriage by hooking up with him on another project. So like when you're watching him in the movie and you see him pining for Ariana Grande, just know deep down that he's laying pipe. Like that guy, that dude, that Munchkin, that guy who looks like a weird theater kid is the one laying pipe to Ariana Grande for right now. Okay. So keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. Okay. You can do it. Okay. You can do it. You can be a little weird bug-eyed Munchkin kid. Okay. And if you got good pipes and probably a decent dick, you can lay pipe to Ariana Grande. Well, an Ariana Grande-like person, not Ariana Grande herself. I don't want to insinuate anything. It's really, it's really funny for me though. I was just like, oh my God. Now, moving on into sadder news, because we always have to go into the sadder news here. We have found out now that the Sleeping Dogs movie is no longer in the works starring Donnie Yen. Quote here saying, you know how Hollywood goes. Yeah, we know how Hollywood goes, and it sucks. If you ever played Sleeping Dogs, which was meant to be like True Crime Streets of LA 3, essentially, it's such a good goddamn game. You can find it on every platform, I think. I think I've got it digitally on like PS4, but like I can buy it on Xbox for like $5, and I probably will. The game is amazing. It's so damn good. And this film has been in the works since 2017. That's when it was announced. It was in 2017 with Donnie Yen officially attached to the movie back then. Since then, it's had so many like delays and production issues. Yen invested considerable time and his own money into getting the project off the ground. And in the process of being interviewed about potentially starring and directing in a John Wick universe spinoff for his character in John Wick Chapter 4, he was talking about this and he was like, yeah, it unfortunately is no longer in development, even though he has expressed massive enthusiasm and put a lot of his own time and money into it. He says here that the project fell apart due to Hollywood's complicated dynamics. Hollywood's on fire right now. Parts of Hollywood are on fire. Celebrities losing their homes. Tragic, terrible stuff. But it is also a metaphor, like a very, very hard metaphor to swallow. But it is a metaphor for the industry as a whole right now. They are in so many changes that are happening. And it's like something like Sleeping Dogs, I think would do well. I think here's how you do it. Some company comes on in Netflix. Okay. Let's say Netflix. All right. Netflix comes on in and they end up, they finance it. All right. If you do it well and it's a good adaptation and it's a truthful and faithful adaptation, audiences, I think, will show up. Not only will you get your martial arts fans showing up around the world who like Donnie Yen, you'll get your gamers that are like, oh, heck yeah, dude, Sleeping Dogs was fucking awesome. And they'll show up for it. And again, if it's truth, if it's faithful, and the key word there is faithful, I think fans will be able to, at that point, share it with their friends and get people hyped up for it. Because that ultimately is the idea here behind these kind of adaptations. We have to remember that, like, we as the fans, we as the fans of these franchises are the ones who are the ambassadors. Does that make sense? Right? Like we are the ones who are the ambassadors. And being the ones that are the ambassadors, we have to be excited and we have to be the ones to share this passion with other people to get them excited to come on in and see the movie and experience the show or whatever, right? That adaptation has to rely on the fan base. Look at Wicked. Wicked, pretty damn faithful to the musical, despite my trepidations with it, right? They took a great story and they were able to give it a good, grounded, faithful adaptation, and it has blown the hell up. The Last of Us, a faithful adaptation. Yes, some changes, because some changes are inevitable. You're never going to get around that. That blew up. People went to it because it was very, very, very like the game. It was very faithful to the game. Halo, the television show, not so much. Even though Halo is a pretty easy thing to adapt. And what's going on with that? Nothing. No one is happy with it. This is the world we live in. That's what I'm saying. This is the world we live in with this stuff. And we have to remember that, because that is what's going to be, what these producers need to remember. And that's why I'm a little worried about like the Legend of Zelda movie that's coming out. Even though Wes Ball is a good director, Avi Arad being a producer is like, that Sony guy left. Why not Avi Arad? Why not get rid of him? We already know that he is not great at what he's able to do. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, if you're going to do an adaptation, do it right. Because the last thing you want to do is have let's say an adaptation of RoboCop starring Lily Rose Depp. It's not going to work. It's going to look weird because no one is going to buy Lily Rose Depp as Alexa Murphy. I'm sorry. It just ain't going to happen. Now, anyway, I can go on about this for a long time. I feel bad for Donnie Yen. I really do feel bad for Donnie Yen. I would love it if he would be able to see this thing come through. Sleeping Dogs is an excellent, excellent, excellent property, and it could absolutely use a movie treatment or television show. We're in the golden age of television. You give us a good, hard martial arts drama set in the gritty underworld in the Sleeping Dogs universe, because that game goes dark. It does. It goes dark. And then from there, we're going to be looking at something pretty damn awesome. And now moving on to something that I think is pretty damn awesome. We got some more information, albeit I'm a little behind on this apparently. This is information I'm seeing coming out today, but apparently it is a few months old, so like whoopsie daisy. But we are getting some info from Andy Muschietti about the Welcome to Derry show. And in fact, he says here that it's going to be a 3-season plan. And he is very excited to get it off the ground. In fact, apparently HBO wants to fast track season 2 and get that thing shot super quick because they kind of need to. Okay. So Muschietti has said that they've mapped out an ambitious 3-season plan. The prequel series will delve into Derry's dark history, exploring the events that set the stage for the rise of Pennywise the Dancing Clown. Each of the seasons will focus on a distinct era of Derry's past. Now remember, it's every 30 years. Meaning that in the show is going to go backwards 30 years, right? So like, this is where it gets interesting. Season 1 of the show is set in 1962, and it focuses on the tragic burning of the Black Spot, a nightclub for African-American soldiers that was set on fire by a white supremacist group. This incident is going to highlight the cyclical violence and hatred that feeds the town's sinister undercurrents. Now remember, Derry is dark and twisted. It has a dark underspot, an underbelly, right? It's got like hidden secrets. Now, my fear for this is that you're going to get people going like, the chuds are going to come out in force for this, like they did with the opening of Watchmen, where it talked about the Black Wall Street massacre, and everything else, because that's just unfortunately the way rage bait people work. However, that's going to be very, very interesting to talk about in regards to race relations, which is something we still need to work on in this country. Season 2 is going to be set in 1935, and that is going to shift to the Bradley Gang Massacre, a violent confrontation that adds to Derry's legacy of bloodshed and evil. And finally, Season 3 goes back to 1908, and it will explore Pennywise's origins, unveiling how the entity began its reign of terror and why Derry remains its favored hunting grounds. And I like that it's going backwards. I like that it's going in reverse, because it gives us like, we're going to get some of the mystery and then we're going to get more of the mystery and then we're going to get the answers. And I think that's really, really cool. I know a lot of people love It Chapter 1 and they're not big on It Chapter 2. I personally really like It Chapter 2, but it isn't as good as It Chapter 1, obviously. And then this series is inspired by Mike Hanlon's research. It interludes in Stephen King's novel, and it aims to deepen the lore surrounding Derry and its horrifying history. By all means, man, bring it on. I am very excited for that to be a thing, because hell yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's effing go, man. Because I just, who doesn't love it? It'd be cool, if it was, Tim Curry. I won't lie, but at the same time, I'd be very happy to get more out of this. So jumping into our final story of the day, we've got Empire Magazine has an entire breakdown on what to expect from the upcoming 28 years later, including that this gentleman on the cover, this guy we saw in the trailer, is not in fact Cillian Murphy. They want to make that abundantly clear. Also, Cillian Murphy is not going to be in the movie. Yeah, what the hell, right? Cillian Murphy is not going to be in the movie, at least at all. Now, there's photos of him on set, and I think that's one of the things that like got people confused. And so again, like Empire's got a bit of information here, says that it takes a wholly different approach to the Infected saga. This is coming in from Danny Boyle. So what we know here is that it is going to hit theaters June 20th, 2025, directed by Boyle and written by Alex Garland. This is what has me so excited. It takes place nearly 3 decades after the initial outbreak. The film is set on Lindisfarne, an isolated island off the northeast coast of England where survivors have built a fragile community. Now, also, Danny Boyle confirmed that this is going to be relegated to parts of the UK. So this isn't going to be a worldwide infection. This is going to be a contained infection, but still one that 3 decades later, people have largely just kind of let the UK do its thing and kind of fall off as a result of this. That's my interpretation of it. And that's very similar to Neil Marshall's 2008 Doomsday, where I think it was like parts of Europe, like Ireland, and or was it Scotland? Or no, I think it was Ireland, ends up getting infected and they completely quarantine everything off. Right. And like, and then it's, it's 2.5 decades later or whatever, they go back in to see what's going on. Right. And life finds a way. That's kind of the whole point. And that's essentially what's happening here. It's kind of a take on that, I think, although that's a bit of its own derivative context or concept. Now, the story focuses on Jamie, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, and Jodie Comer, and they are a couple that's raising their son, Spike. Interesting. In this precarious world. As Spike comes of age, his curiosity leads him to explore the world outside of their sanctuary. Along the way, he meets a mysterious doctor, played by Ray Fiennes, who offers help for Spike's ailing mother while revealing the persistent danger of the rage virus. That's interesting. And we know that there's going to be 28 years later, The Bone Temple, that is coming out about 6 months later. Right? Nia DaCosta's directing it. We don't know anything about it. It's already been completed and they're just doing the final work on it right now. And that's going to be part of the trilogy. And like, that's awesome. Like, we're getting 2 28 years movies 6 months apart from each other. Good, bad, or the other, I don't quite know. And even though Cillian Murphy is not in this film, he will probably pop up in the future movies. That's my take on it. But at the same time, I mean, a lot of people are maybe a little apprehensive about that. They don't really know if they want that. I think it's like, I think people deep down are like okay with it, but in many ways it's like, do we need to go back to Jim? I mean, Jim was the hero we followed in the first movie, but not the hero we followed in the second. Was he even alive in the second movie? I don't remember. Because they never talked about that. And it's like, what's going to happen? Do we need more of that? I don't know, but it is member berries. Right? It's like, what if Naomi Harris comes back in? It's member berries. Like, what are they going to do to recall? Like, what if somehow Robert Carlyle, even though his character died in 28, months later, like, what if he comes back somehow? Right? It's like, that could happen. You never know what they're going to do with this kind of stuff. I really hope they ground it and they make it believable, which is one of the reasons why 28 Days Later was so compelling of a horror film when it came out all those decades ago. God, so many decades ago now, it feels like. I know it's over 2, but it's like, damn, I was like 2003 is when I saw it. I was 20. I wasn't even 20. I think I just turned 21 when I watched it. And I turned 43 in 2.5 months. So it's like, it's a long time. It's a very, very, very long time for this kind of stuff. Either way, I'm very excited for it. I want to see what they're going to do with it. And we are all going to hopefully enjoy this stuff together as we get closer. I'll be talking more about it, obviously, here on the show. And so that brings me to the end. Thank you guys so much. Again, these are quick episodes. These aren't going to be very long. I do eventually want to add in, call-ins or voicemails or audience questions. Obviously, I want to build a community. I want to watch stuff. We're gonna do live streams on Wednesday nights when I have time, and we'll be talking about different things, watching trailers, having ourselves a grand old time. In the meantime, if you guys are always looking for a mantra to kind of live by, here's one that I like quite a bit, and that, of course, is movies are love, movies are life. It is something to remember. It is something to live by. This is something we all love, we all enjoy. And yeah, I'm going to be talking about physical media too. A lot going on with that. I almost bought, real quick as an aside, Seven just came out. And I was at the store today. And if they had Seven on 4K, I would have bought it. I did find a steel book of Stardust for $25. Almost bought it. Didn't buy it. But I saw that Labyrinth has a steel book. Dark Crystal has a steel book. I'm not big on steel books, but like I just want to buy the movies directly because I love those movies. So again, we're going to be talking a lot about physical media. And then we are going to be doing lots of audio commentaries, long form discussions. Sleepy Hollow is available right now. There's going to be some reviews. I don't have the thumbnail anymore. I deleted it, but, the George A. Romero's Resident Evil documentary, I reviewed that. I recommend you guys check that out. And yeah, we will definitely be talking again tomorrow. Have yourself a great day, everybody. Thank you again for hanging out with me. And be sure to leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe if you're new. And remember, folks, movies, they bring us together because that's just what the fuck they do. I don't even know what the fuck that means. All right, bye.